Hi everybody, Chris Stokes from Custom Fitness Personal Training Studio. Topic of the day today is stress keeping you from success? So a lot of people don't think about it, but stress is so much more than what we believe it is, right? It's one of those things that we just say, well, I'm stressed, or, oh, I was stressed last week, now I'm better. The problem is that stress, number one, is real. Stress is something that typically comes from outside sources. It's not always something that we put on ourselves, but it's something that comes from outside sources. Maybe it's deadlines that we have, or family needs, or family or friend illness, or family or friend care, things that kind of come up that we've got to be able to take care of. We've got to be able to help these people, or we've got to be able to get ourselves to where we need to be on time, and we've got a million different things that we're doing. So stress is real. There's no doubt about it. It's not something that you're making up. It's not something that you should just brush off and say, oh, I can deal without it. It's something that we actually have. Now, there's good stress and bad stress, right? So good stress is things more like we enjoy, like exercise for some people, having a happy day, having a promotion, or having a wedding, or having a baby. Those are all great stresses. And stress is honestly one of the things that keeps our body functioning. So we have to have a certain amount of it, but we tend to overdo it, especially, this day and age. Everything is go, go, go. We're wired to kind of go all the time, and there's never a time to just be. So what people don't realize about stress a lot of times, though, is that stress, once it's in your life, becomes a physical manifestation inside your body. So once it actually enters your body, it becomes something. So it's kind of like inflammation and all these things. It causes the body to respond to it in a less than positive way. And being that physical manifestation, we have really only three ways that we can get rid of it. It's going to go out through our sweat, our urine, or our bowel. The body has to excrete that stress after it's come in. Now, this is definitely seen in high stress situations where maybe you've gone through a significant loss, or a really stressful time in life, and maybe 6 to 12 months later you notice that like clumps of your hair are falling out. It's because the body is finally processing all that stress out. The body stopped. It became so stressed that it stopped the growth of hair, and those follicles that were in there at that point eventually have to fall out. And so typically that takes about 6-8 months, sometimes up to the 12-month range, depending on what all you've gone through. So that can be an issue that a lot of people don't realize, that it is a physical manifestation within the body. It is something that we have to deal with. So it's not just something that we say, oh, I was stressed last week and now I'm fine. You may feel fine on the outside, but on the inside, it's still taking its toll. It's still throwing off your hormones. It's throwing off your metabolism. It's making your sleep worse. It's changing how your body's working. So that's the solid part about stress. That's really what stress is physically doing to you. It's actually creating more chaos inside than what you probably realize. Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that our stress can compound, right? We can intensify it, we can minimize it, and it's all from our emotion, right? So the emotion connected to the stress. So a lot of times we have this small stress. So maybe it's a deadline that we have to work towards. And over time, we start to see this deadline get bigger and bigger in our head, and we start to think of all these things that go along with this and all these things that we have to get done. And rather than sitting and writing them down, we actually just allow it to kind of compound in our mind, and it has this snowball effect where it gets bigger and bigger. Well, that just makes the perceived stress, so the actual stress is that deadline, but the perceived stress of that deadline becomes larger and larger, and it becomes more intense on that chaos in the body. So we've got to work on making sure that our emotions are in check with that. Keep in mind that you have control over the stress. You have control over how big or how small it is. Now, granted, the actual stressor itself, we don't have much control over that a lot of times. Deadlines for work, family issues, taking kids to sports. There's little things that we could change here and there, but for the most part, what it is what it is. The problems that we run into is that we allow that stress to grow and snowball inside of us, and then we don't seem to understand, because we're at that point, what we need to do to fix it, or why there's even a problem in the first place. Sometimes we get so distant from the actual stress that we lose sight of what actually was causing all of these issues that we're having in the first place. So if we stop to think about kind of what areas there are that we could use a little less stress, that we could start to bring our body into a better calm and relaxed mode, you may start to find that there's some areas that need a little bit of work. And so those are kind of some things to look at. So if you have control over this stress, how do you control it, right? Because sometimes it just feels like everything is out of whack. There's no way to pull it back. You're done. Just, throw a towel in, you're done. And so a good way to do it is to start down by writing it down, doing a brain dump. when you write and put pen to paper, you actually physically, your brain lets go of things. Your brain understands that you've written it down. It can relax. It can let go. Whenever you type, your brain doesn't have that same connection because it wasn't designed to type the same way that it was to write. So the writing in research has shown us that we actually get that out of our head, put it on paper. Now in our head, things continue to expand and expand. So when it's on paper, it's solid, right? That's it. That's what we wrote down. So we can write down everything in our head, write it down, and you're going to feel a whole lot better about this. So I had a client a while back that was having this problem and just telling me that she had so much to get done at home. She couldn't ever seem to focus. She felt distracted all the time. She felt stressed all the time. She had so many things that she wanted to get done before the end of the summer, and she just couldn't seem to get it done. So we sat down and we made a list. I had her write it all out for me. What all there was in her head that needed to get done. What is this list that's just overwhelming to her? You know what she came back with? 7 things. 7 things in her home needed to be done. A closet needed to be cleaned out. A recipe drawer needed to be cleaned out. The laundry room needed to be sorted. You know, things like that. Now, for you or I, looking from the other side, it's like, well, that's pretty simple, right? We could get that done, and we could block out some time and schedule that out. And over a 12-week period, sure, you get all those things done. That's no big deal, probably in less time. But to her, it kept compounding because the emotion came into it. So she kept thinking about how she didn't want to clean out all these things because it was so many years worth of things coming into the rooms and sitting there that she didn't want to have to dig through, or memories of something, or oh, it just looked like a mess and she didn't want to deal with it. So it made it bigger and bigger and bigger, and that caused her to literally stress out. Like, she was having panic moments because she was thinking about cleaning all this stuff out, and she wasn't realizing how simple this truly was. So we wrote it all down. We made a plan of action, and within the next 10 weeks, she had it all done. So it's just a matter of, what are you doing to help alleviate your stress, and what are you doing to cause this perceived stress, the extra stress that's coming in? Okay, so that's one side of the puzzle. Now, I do have to throw this in here because a lot of people don't realize this. But whenever you're working out, so a lot of people use workouts to counteract stress, right? And the problem is, if you are high stress here and you do a high intensity workout here, you actually just added more stress to your body. So good and bad stress all go in the same bucket. They don't get separated, and eventually your bucket's going to overflow. So if your high stress level is here, we need to work out at a lower intensity here to help bring it into balance. Okay, so on those days, maybe more of a mind-body workout, maybe some yoga, Pilates, maybe walking, maybe stretching, doing something a little easier, even strength training at a slower pace, a little bit lighter weight, putting less stress on the body and allowing the body to heal itself. So stress is still something that we need to heal from. So how could all of this be keeping you from success? Because if it drives you to work out, it also drives you into your comfort zone, doesn't it? So not only does it mess up your hormones and your metabolism, so it's actually adding usually fat to the body, because the hormones typically that are secreted with extra stress typically need fat in order to be made. So it causes more fat to be out of the body. It slows the metabolism, so the body's not going to get rid of fat as often. But the other thing is that as you're moving through this system, stress is pushing you more and more into your comfort zone. And so as you go into that comfort zone, you start to eat differently, right? You start to exercise less. You start to think about yourself less and do less self-care. You're not sleeping as well. You're not drinking your water. Comfort zones are great and they're terrible at the same time. So we'll have another blog on that, about the subconscious effects of your comfort zone and kind of how that works. But really, in general, your subconscious takes over and you're not actively in the moment. You're not really thinking about what it is that you're doing, but rather being pulled to the easier path of least resistance, right? Which, as humans, is where we like to go. Anytime that things come up, we're going to go to the path of least resistance. So we're going to start to think about, not only planning out, what do I do to get healthier, but how do I minimize or mitigate this stress that I know is coming, right? Or even whenever it's not coming, how would I handle this situation? What would I do? And that's where, like at Custom Fitness, we work on habits. We work on teaching you new habits to follow to build you into a healthier lifestyle. And when we do that, those habits then work into your subconscious so that your comfort zone becomes less and less what it used to be. And eventually it becomes the new lifestyle that you were wanting to lead in the first place. Habits are a huge part of what you're doing transformation wise, and it may seem like a waste of time to some people because they want to see results immediately. They want to be perfect immediately. They want to switch over right away. And the problem that you run into is that you can't, right? Our bodies and our brains are not made to make instantaneous switches all the time and to just drop one way of life and move on to the next. What it does is it takes time to acclimate to that new level, if you will, to that new challenge, and build habits into your lifestyle that mean something to you, that makes sense to you and your body. So as you build those habits in, make sure that you're also focusing on habits for stress reduction. And it doesn't matter what life you lead or how low stress you feel, we all have something that we tend to suppress within that keeps us from reaching success because it's causing our body to have that chaos inside. So adding in some deep breathing each week, or adding in your journaling each night, just writing down what all's in your head, adding in some mind body type exercises, some yoga or Pilates or something like that you can really breathe through and focus on just you and your body for a little bit. Just having some quiet time, whatever it takes to get your mind in the right place, to get your body in the right place, so that then you can kind of have a reset on what you're doing. And from there, your stair steps to success are just never going to end. So if you would like some more help on creating ways to reduce your stress or to change kind of your habits that you feel like you're being drawn all the time back into this comfort zone, we'd be happy to help you out. Feel free to give us a call, 806-322-3188, and you can meet with our team and just see if we're the right fit for you. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.